Konnichiwa, welcome to the Martial Maze. I'm with Blackhawk, a returning guest. What's going on, brother?
Hey, everything's great. I'm happy to be back.
All right, so let's jump right into it, the meat and bones right away, because there's a lot to discuss, But real quick, how'd your trip go?
The trip went great. The hospitality was phenomenal out in St. Croix. I went down there for Sun, and Strike, a wonderful seminar. I want to thank everybody down there. And that's the only reason I wasn't at the Marshall Mays Awards because I'd love to support you guys. And
Yeah, we
I'm
missed your
a fan of
presence,
Master
man.
Ken, so I'm kind of bummed that I missed him.
Yeah, listen, we probably may have him back. I know that
Okay.
we are going to be doing it at the MGM Grand next year. Well, tentatively the MGM Grand next year. We've already started planning for that event, and hopefully we get the dates we want. And folks will have to stay tuned to that. There's a lot happening this season, in the Marshall Maze going into 2025. So 2025, 2026 season. All right, so. Let's get right into it. So, this once again, if you're a fan of the show, you know I love reels, and I spend a good deal of time in reels. Reel Land, they make so much money off me. And actually, I think you brought this to my attention. It
Yeah.
was Jose Burgos,
Burgos. Yeah.
Jose
Yeah.
Burgos. He's another
Good
martial
brother.
artist. I haven't met him personally. He just had a really good topic, and I know we've kind of touched base on other episodes with Barack and myself, with different things, and it almost feels like we're just peeling off a scab and all wound. But here's the thing. People are still doing it. People are still saying it. We're the Marshall Maze, baby. We help folks navigate those complexities.
Yeah.
So this is a two-part thing. So we're going to get to the first part first. We're going to get the second part second. And I know we've pretty much done episodes kind of about both topics, but let's start off with this. So accepted canon, and I hope for those that don't know what canon is, it's kind of like biblical canon. These are things that are just accepted in the universe, right? If you're a fan of Marvel, you have the Marvel canon, right? Which is now we have the Infinity and all that other craziness that's going on. Love Marvel movies, and so we have biblical canon, which is all the stories that come from the Bible and all that other good stuff. That's why we can't change it around because it's biblical canon. It's accepted. Well, martial arts has a canon too, and one of those things is the the thing that gets confused often in the martial universe is the rank of Grandmaster and the title Grandmaster,
Yeah.
and or just a 10th degree black belt. A 10th degree black belt does not make you a Grandmaster. You are a 10th degree black belt. That is a rank. That is a rank given by your peers in the martial systems that you study and it moves up. Grandmaster, kind of like an honorary title you get from a college, doesn't necessarily mean that you attended that college. It's an honorary title,
Yeah.
typically given to those who create their own systems in the martial arts. Now, not just creating a system, but an accepted system.
Right.
So that's the little caveat there. It's
Yeah.
accepted, meaning when you show up to places, people say, "Oh, that is Master Grandmaster Huziwatsi from Timbuktu style of martial arts," right?
Yeah.
It's not just, well, I'm a grandmaster. I created my system because you'll get laughed at. There's a criteria that kind of follows that thing too. What say
Yeah.
you, sir, about this? Kind of,
So yeah, this is one of those things that really I like to say grinds my gears because people who should know better still do this thing, right? There's title and there's rank, and they're two totally separate things, right?
hmm
So, Sensei is a beautiful title and it applies to all black belt ranks. People get in their feelings, they're like, well, no, I'm a Shihan, I'm a this, I'm a that. But Sensei just means teacher. And if you're ranked at a black belt at a certain any level and you teach, guess what? You're a sensei. And we can go deeper into that title. It's probably one of the most beloved titles to me, near and dear to my heart. Um, but you know, if you're the creator of your own system and you're the founder of your system, and you want to go by a Japanese title for founder of system, that's going to be Soke. Does not
hmm
make you a grandmaster in my book, right? But I know not, and I'm contradicting what you just said. But to clarify, you can be the head of your system and not be a 10th degree black belt ranked
Well, but I
anywhere
guess
else.
I guess that's the rub. So okay. So circling back real quick, because I feel like if Brock was here, you'd have cringed when you said sensei. No, sensei. You have to actually have a license to be a sensei in the martial universe, as accepted canon. But there are folks who just figure they can just call themselves sensei once they get a black belt and they're teaching.
I concede to that.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Well, because in
Yeah.
all truth, that's the whole point. If you're, especially if you're in a Japanese-oriented art, Amikyo Kaiten,
Yes.
that's what that means. It's a
Yeah.
license that says this person is licensed to teach. And I know even for me in the world of judo, I can't just get a black belt and just decide I'm going to coach somewhere someday, right?
Yeah.
So all the
Yeah.
federations, they kind of go, no, 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 you have to do all this other stuff and apply to
Yeah.
be a coach, and
Yeah.
then we'll accept you. In most cases, they accept you. You know, whatever. Somebody out there going, well, they just get your money, but no, you have to take the heads up, safe sport, and all this other good stuff, and you can be fired from being a coach. They don't take your rank away, but you can definitely lose your license to be a coach. And as
Right.
far as
Right.
judo is concerned, or jitsu, it's kind of the same way, I think. Um, with that being said, sort of going up to so again, we're talking about an honorary title,
Yeah.
and again, I know we've said this off the air, and I'll continue to say this over and over again. If you create your own system, no one else can be higher than you in that system because you created
Correct.
it. It's
Correct.
yours. It's like if I create a thing, it's mine. I made it. No one else can be higher than me in this.
Right.
So it's an honorary title. The thing is, I think that gets confusing is the rank and the title get confused and merged together, and that's
Yeah.
why so many people. Even when I say that, I can almost see you cringe a little bit, like this
Every single time
oh God,
because
why stop it?
well, look at it this way, right? I'm walking. Let me not use me here. Person A is walking down the street,
hmm
and they see a baby with a lollipop. We've all seen this in cartoons.
Okay.
And they snatch the lollipop from the baby. Oh, this is good, and walk off because the baby can't even walk. Baby can't do anything about it, right?
hmm
It's something that they can do. Doesn't mean you should do that. That's just not a
Yeah,
cool
but
thing to do. So I'm gonna equate that back now to if you're the founder of your own system,
mhm.
you can't technically you're the headmaster of that system, and you can say I'm 10th in this system. You can.
No,
In
no,
my
no, because what
humble
you're saying now is you're making the mistake again. You're saying
doing that thing
rank.
again.
Yes, you're going to
I
10th
did say
degree.
10th. All right, let
Yes.
me let me
No,
let
so
me
stop
correct
that.
that.
Remember, it's just
Let me
it's an
correct that.
honorary title. It's
Yeah.
an honorary title.
Yes. You can call yourself grandmaster of that system.
Yes.
You can. Should you? No. And that's
That's
my humble opinion, right?
okay.
And I'm talking personally, I'm the founder of my system. I have never called myself grandmaster, and I will not call myself grandmaster. If one of my teachers decides to say, hey, in our system, this is what we're, going to give you the honorific title of, I'll say thank you. And then when you see me the next day, hey, how should I address you? Blackhawk.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's still a personal preference, but I think it's really
That
because
is.
your mind is still hardwired with the rank and the honorary title being the same thing. I can only say it. Actually, you said it before I said it, and we ended up messing up that recording. We had to re-record, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, you said it best the first time around. If
yeah,
I have an honorary title from Harvard,
yes.
I have an honorary doctorate from Harvard, does not make me a doctor. Does
No,
not
can't
make
do
that's
open heart
that
surgery.
I cannot do open heart surgery. I cannot do anything with that title. It just means I did something great and they figured, hey, let's celebrate Izzy. Here you
Yeah,
go. I'm going to give you
yeah,
this title. And I go to walk around and going and celebrate. Hell, they gave Bill Cosby an honorary doctorate. I don't think it
yeah,
was somewhere, and they took that shit back.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but that's
yeah,
the thing.
yeah.
You can take that title back.
Yes,
It's you understand what I'm saying? So
yes,
with that being said, it's not the same. You don't get to walk around as a grandmaster with a red belt on. Because
yes.
again, if you do, someone like myself or the folks of us that kind of, and I'm not gonna say we police it, but we educate
Oh,
folks.
but
And
yeah,
we're gonna first thing I'm gonna ask you with that 10th degree black belt on is who and from where.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
What organization? Because you,
yeah.
if anybody understands accepted canon, to get promoted for your fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth in most systems requires a board, requires a group of other folks in your system that are higher ranked than you
Yes,
to recommend, and they have to write letters and all this other crazy stuff. In most recognized systems, now I know there's somebody somewhere that's going to go, well, Izzy, back in the day there was only fifth degree, one, two, three, four,
right,
five, that was it.
right,
And
right.
then they added on all the ceremonial ranks, which is, and they are ceremonial ranks. Your sixth degree is more about what you're doing for your community. Your
Yeah,
seventh is again more about what you're doing in your community, your time in grade, doing
Yeah.
those things in your community. Your teachers
Yeah.
are teaching, so you have black belts upon by almost like a grandfather, right? You got kids and
Yes.
da da da,
Yeah.
right, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Then your eighth and your ninth are they're still around those same things. Your eighth and ninth, you're pretty much getting older in years. You're probably eligible for a lifetime achievement award at that point and stuff
Right.
like that because
Right.
you're at that level of the game. You know,
Yeah.
your people know you, they know your name, they know who you are, and they know you because your reputation, your students, and all that other good stuff. And that's why you're old by the time you get that ninth and tenth, because you're at
Yeah.
this point, it's like you've done so much, you lived your life in such this way, and you've done so much for your community. What other honor can we bestow upon you but
Right.
giving you this rank of 10th degree? You are oh sensei. You are the highest it could be as far as we're concerned. Here you go. You know what I mean? And again, that's depending on what system or school you belong to.
Now, just jumping in there real quick. Um, you're right, right? So when you see somebody who's like 25 or 35 or 40 with that red belt, 10th degree grandmaster
Well, I might ask
title,
them if they
they
study
giving
Taekwondo.
themselves. Say that again. I'm sorry, I
I
missed that.
might ask them if they study Taekwondo.
But well, you know, when you said who did you get that from, the second question is usually how old are you, right? Because if you're 16 and your grand poobah or whatever, it's a problem, right? If you're 30, your grand poobah, that's a problem, right? And then especially kind of we're leading into like the second part of that reel by Jose Burgos. The way you carry yourself should reflect.
Oh no, we don't want to segue yet.
Oh,
So hold
all right.
on, hold on.
Okay,
We're still
okay,
we're
okay,
still we're still in Grandmasterville.
okay, okay, okay.
We're
And
gonna
you know what? Let's
segue.
talk about O Sensei for a second. I mean, correct me if
Uh,
I'm wrong. I thought O Sensei was a title given to those instructors and those teachers who have made their transition, right?
no, no. So Phil
No?
Porter, before he passed away, his title in America was "Oh Sensei," "Oh Sensei," and stuff like that. He was just the highest at the time, anyway. I think he was the only. I know there were others folks out there, but in my university, he was the only one who had that title and stuff
Mm,
like that around here, around these parts, anyway.
okay,
Um, I'm quite sure there were other folks. If I actually looked it up, we got so Google at our fingertips, we could probably type it up right now and look at it and see all the people that held that title
right.
here in the States. I think at that point in time in history, he was the only
Yeah.
person. I think he was either a ninth. I think yeah, he was a ninth, if I'm not
Mm.
mistaken. And Phil was relatively old and stuff like that. He had the gift of gab though. He could gab. Oh man, that's a silver tongued man. I'm like I
Really?
remember. Oh yeah, I mean he was a phenomenal judoka. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, his verbal judo was amazing too, I guess.
There you go.
You
And
know,
that's the thing, right? The verbal jujitsu and judo and
yeah.
whatever form you do is,
I'm
is
like, yes, he
that's
applied
that
that to
distinction.
everything, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, he
between
knew.
self-defense and self-protection,
I'm
right?
like, I got that Cat Williams. No, was it who does that every day? I'm hustling, 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 hustling. but yeah, man. And so, like I said, if you're walking around with, 'cause the reason I make the Taekwondo reference is because if you're Taekwondo and Hapkido, that is a brown belt. So that's their equivalent of a brown belt to red belt and stuff like that. So yeah, you
Nice.
see somebody with a red belt on that's young, I'd normally go, "Hey, Taekwondo, how you
Right.
doing?" But of
Because
course,
that,
if you're
that that
saying,
color
"Well,
means a
no,
different
I'm
thing in that
yeah,
in
I'm
that
part of
tradition.
I'm this, that, and a third system,"
Yeah.
and you're walking around with that red belt on, and you because that has happened with folks who've wanted to be on the show. That's kind of why this is kind of where this first part was going with me. That's kind of why it's one of those weird things. One of those pet peeves I have is that
Yeah.
we've had folks that were like, "Hey, I'm Grandmaster da da," which is fine. I love that. Hey, boom, Grandmaster, baby. Created your own system. You did a thing. You've been out there. You know, people talk highly about you in your neighborhood. Oh, awesome, great. And then you have the red belt on, and one of the things that we do, we'll vet. And again,
Mm.
my issue then becomes who gave you the rank, and you say, "Well, I earned this rank from this person, and I earned rank over here in this system over here, and I earned rank over here in that system over there." And then when we researched that, well, yeah, you did earn rank under that man, but that man it was his highest rank was fifth. The other guy hit the rank with his highest rank was a second, Nidan. This other person, their rank was shit. They just had a showdown and just decided to teach. You know what I'm saying? And so
Mm.
where did you get that rank from?
Yeah.
Who gave you that rank? Did you give you? Well, I'm a grandmaster. But they're not the same.
Yeah.
I created my own system. Yes, you created your own system. You're a grandmaster. Sorry, sir, ma'am, we can't. We can't. I'm
Yeah.
like, I look. If you want to call it anything, I can't use your lineage. I can't. I wouldn't put that down. I wouldn't write about it because the first thing somebody's going to say to me is, well, Israel Lopez Sensei, don't you have a show? Don't you do a thing where you're supposed to be
Right.
exploring and being able to help navigate this, and you don't know the difference? Oh,
Right.
what say you,
Right.
sir? I
Right.
mean, and again, I guess, and I know there's some folks that out there, especially in our community, might get in their feelings about what I'm saying, but research the canon. I didn't make up the game. You know what I'm saying? I didn't make the rules. I'm like, this is that. If you look it up, well, shit, Google that shit right now. It'll tell you what a grandmaster is. I'm like, and it's an honorary title.
Yeah.
Honorary. It's all in that word, honorary. It's what's a Webster dictionary defines honorary. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Hell, look it up in the Black dictionary. It'll tell you the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, folks,
Yeah.
there is a Black dictionary. Um, well, an African American one. I'm saying that's slang, everything else. I love that. I got
Yeah.
turned on to that by I said they call Black Twitter and
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine that's on
Yeah.
Black Twitter kind of hit me on to that, and he was like, You did know this existed?" And I was like, "Oh, I was this old when I learned it existed," and
Right.
stuff, and then started like
But you
dipping
know
into
what?
that.
You make a good point right there, though, right? Um, you were this old when you realized it existed. People like yourself, myself, our elders, our seniors, right? People who've been doing martial arts for X amount of time, not like 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or
Hmm.
10 years, like decades. They kind of follow the same type of thing where you kind of have to wonder, right? And look, I'm guilty of it just in this conversation of saying Grandmaster 10th degree, same thing, right?
Yes.
Um, a lot of us should know better. And is it one of those things where we're at this age now we forgot what it was like to be a teenager, right? We've been doing
Well,
this so long, somewhere along the line, some people forgot that title and rank are two totally different things that shouldn't really be crossed.
no, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I think that technology has made it a lot easier for us to communicate. Remember how many times, listen, I had fights back in the day that there are no records. When I cage fighting,
Yeah,
there are no records. Somebody said to me, "Well, prove that you cage fight.
yeah,
Prove that you did it." I just, shit. I gotta
yeah,
hope there's a video out there somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And even then, I do, well, actually, I almost said the F bomb. There is a video, but I'm that dark. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, yeah,
I'm right up there with Billy Blanks, brother. I just look like it's just, all you
yeah,
got is the white gi and stuff like that. And then even when I was doing just fighting and stuff like
yeah,
that, yeah, I got my trunks on and stuff like that. There are certain things you can tell it's me, and I had
yeah,
hair.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And stuff,
yeah.
and other things you can't. So it's like even myself, that's kind of actually, in all truth, um, unless I could physically show it to you or prove it, I stop saying it
Yeah, yeah.
because it all becomes suspect. I mean, look at all the listen. There's so many liars that came out of the woodwork over the years. People saying they done this, they done that, and unless there was somebody around that could really prove that you did it, how do you
That's
prove that you
it.
did it? How do you prove that you did any of that stuff?
Yeah,
They didn't keep
yeah.
records like they do it. There are old judo matches and tournaments that I was in and stuff like that. There are no records of this now.
Right,
15 years ago, I can't, but I have the medals still from that
right.
point in time. I have some of the stuff that, some of the memorabilia I can kind of whip it out and go, hey, oh no, it was me. Yeah. And they're
Yeah,
like, well,
yeah.
okay, well, you might have got that medal on eBay. You know what I'm saying? Like,
These
again,
days it's possible, right?
bro, when you find out that you can get a faded black belt for 19.95 plus shipping and handling online, that
Really?
changed the whole game for me. I'm
Wow.
like, well, so for me personally, I have the belt my instructor gave me. I still have it, and
Mhm.
then if I give you a tour of my office, it
Yeah.
just sits. I don't wear that belt. It's
Same here.
faded and all that other good stuff, but I don't wear it. It was an honorary
Hmm.
gift given
Yeah,
to me from my instructor. It was his belt, so I
yeah.
wore it until it got to a certain stage. But no, but again, maybe it's because of judo. I'm like, I get a new gi and get a new belt. I'm like, because the
Right,
belt, the belt
right.
don't change the knowledge. It's still
Exactly.
here. People got that faded belt on, and I'd be clowning that, man. Because I can buy one of those.
Yeah.
It doesn't change
Yeah.
your knowledge. I'm gonna listen to what you say. You know what I mean? It's one of
Yeah.
those kind of weird things.
Yeah.
But So that we don't get too far off topic, because we do have a subtopic. We have another topic to discuss that's all in the same thing. And I hope
Right.
we're probably, I swear to God, um, we're just gonna say, Jose, man. If we're saying your name wrong, brother, I apologize. The last name. Again, we have to reach out to you, have you on, because what you were saying in your reel was pretty profound. So I'll have to reach out to that brother. Actually, maybe you can reach out.
I'll make the
Jose, that whole
introduction.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Just so that you know, so other people, and if you haven't heard his reel, what martial system is he from? Do you know?
I do not know.
Yeah,
I
we
do
have to
not.
find that out.
Yeah, I can find that out for you. I've met him at seminars, and um, we've spent some time together, but I'm not sure, so I don't want to misspeak.
Okay,
In
but
this day
so
and age, when we're all cross training multiple arts, and
well, that and that's
I don't
and
want to.
that is the thing. That's the difference now, is
Yeah,
because this day and age, technology has put us in a place where we have that information readily available. Think about how
yeah.
slow things were back then to find out if that person was lit to death. If somebody says now, think about how long it was until you found out that Bloodsport was a made up movie.
You know what? For me, it was a pretty long damn time, to be honest.
Well, I thought it was real. I thought
Yeah,
there
me
was a
too.
Kumite. I mean, oh, yeah, well, Kumite. But I thought all those things were real, and then it turns out that the guy was making it up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or allegedly making it up. I don't know. There's so many different books on that now, and so many different folks have said in the ether, like, yeah, bro, that was all in his head. I've never met the man. You know what I'm saying? But in Marshall Canon, as of right now, well, Bloodsport never happened. It was a
Yeah.
fictional movie, but it made Jean-Claude Van Damme's career. You know
Yes,
what
it
I'm
sure
saying?
did.
He was in other
Yeah.
movies, but that movie made his career. It was
Yeah.
a good movie, good idea anyway. But that it was fictional. But think about how many things that you've learned growing up. Like for me, case in point, I'll give you one easy one. I only found out, and I hate admitting this, all right, because I do the Marshall Maze, and I
Yeah.
know a lot of it speaks to credibility, and I'm smiling when I say it, but I shit you not, bro. It was me less than 5 years ago, I found out that Thanksgiving was a made up holiday. I'm from
Mm.
Massachusetts, and I
Okay.
didn't know that the story of Thanksgiving was made. Yeah,
Okay.
that
Okay.
destroyed me. I was so angry. I mean,
Yeah.
like, there was anger, like the mushroom when I found out it was, well, the story that we were told isn't what happened.
Right. That's not
It's
really
not
how
even
that went
close. It's not,
down.
yeah. And
Not
Abraham
even
Lincoln
close.
actually is credited for creating it. So at this point, I feel I needed to make a correction. It was actually George Washington who is accredited for creating Thanksgiving. A writer by the name of Sarah Josepha Hale was a significant contributor to the popularized Thanksgiving narrative that we know of.
Became accustomed, but
Messes
it's
with your
not
faith. I
history.
had a whole
History.
episode about messing with your faith. Um, but yeah, so because all that information is getting to us, and we're learning, and we have to reprogram our minds now. Like
Yeah.
that was accepted lore back then. You were a grandmaster. That's the same as rank. They were kind of interchanged, and you could walk around wearing that red belt. Da da da. Da.
Yeah.
And there are some folks that still believe that. Like, look, I created my own system. No one can be higher than me. I'm instantly a 10th degree overnight. That's not how that works, brother. I'm be the first one to tell you
You
that's
see
not.
me grab my heart every time you say
Yeah, I'm
that.
like, that's just not how that works. Because
Exactly.
again, that's why it's an honorary
Exactly.
title. But again, if you want to stay, there's a difference between being ignorant, and ignorant is not a bad word. It just
No.
means you don't know any better. Like a
Yeah.
little child can be ignorant, an
Yeah.
adult can be. I was ignorant because I didn't know Thanksgiving was made up. You know what I mean? So think about that. But then if
Right.
I, after learning that information, learning these things, continue,
Perpetuate that thing and
then I'm now
that
willfully
down.
ignorant. Yes, now I'm just
Yeah.
being willfully ignorant. And
Yeah.
I get there are some folks out there in the martial community that would say, that's the way I learned it, that's the way I did it, and I'm going to continue doing it this way. Who are you guys to say that's wrong?
Right.
Again, I didn't make the rules. No, Sensei Lopez didn't make the rules. Israel Lopez did not make the rules. I'm like, that's just in the martial universe, that's an honorary title. Sorry.
Right. Right.
Sorry. And if you're a young person or around my age, walking around with that red belt on, calling yourself Grandmaster, gave yourself that rank, we're probably never going to have you on. Simply because the first thing I'm going to say is, again, where'd you get it? Who gave it to you? And why doesn't anybody know you?
You know what? And not only will you not have them on, there's certain places they can't walk into.
Mm, that right
Hey,
there. That
hey,
right there, sir. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Or you get, there was an email that went out, or not an email, but a comment that was made on a page, and I ain't gonna go there. The people that know. Yeah, that was by
Yeah,
Soke somebody.
yeah,
It was just like,
yeah,
you ain't part of this crew. You need to
yep,
stop it. Stop
yep.
with that bull. You know what
And
I'm saying?
I was there for that, and I
Yeah.
co-signed everything. That's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we don't. I try never to throw names out there. I'm like, but that
Yeah,
was one of
yeah,
the
yeah.
moments. I just remember,
I
yeah,
respect
that
that.
that got kicked out there. Yeah, and then it was just kind of like, wow, I didn't even because I told you, it looked at the stuff we were looking, and again, and this individual decided to embellish their rank. You know what I'm saying? And it
That was
was an
terrible.
embellishment, which actually led to a conversation I had with Haskins Sensei
Mm,
about your physical ability. That's why it's so hard to tell the difference. Because again, once you potentially, I know we always say accepted, you now an accepted student once you made Shodan. Well, my thought process is that by Shodan, you should have mastered all of that. There's things that you should have mastered by Shodan, and
yeah,
if you haven't mastered those things, there's a problem with your system. There's a problem with the instructor that taught you that system. But I can also readily understand when you say, well, okay, well, you've mastered that, you mastered the basics, and now you're moving on to a
yeah,
better level of
absolutely.
understanding of that information. So the information, like the tool, once you have that tool, you mastered that tool, right? And now we're going to utilize other ways of using those tools or using that base of information to create something else, right? Okay, I can
I
kind of
think
entertain that mindset.
to jump in there, you know, you know just enough to be dangerous, right? You don't know, right? You know something that's not
Oh,
total
you are
understanding
dangerous.
happening, right?
Mm.
And someone who has the eyes and the experience can look and see, okay. But where it's really dangerous is people who are coming to you thinking that you have that certain level of understanding and expertise. They don't know. And like you said, physical ability is there enough that
Well,
someone
because you mastered that, so that
can
now
manipulate.
this is a perfect time to segue into the
Yep.
second half. So, what Jose was saying in his reel was he talked about the morality, and I know we've done an episode about that, about whether or not you're a good person. Do you do good works? Do you do these other things in your neighborhood, or are you just just an a-hole? Like, does that stuff supposed to matter? Well,
Right.
Jose, I will debate with you and tell you it's not, doesn't matter. Combatives, when we talk about fighting and combatives does not matter, does not care if you're a good or a bad person. We're talking about fighting. The fact, dude, anyone out there listening to this right now, the fact that you're fighting in general means something went hella wrong. Yeah, okay. If you're fighting for real in real life, something went really hella wrong. Meaning
Yeah.
either you're an a-hole and you went out to do a thing, or you forgot about um, self protection and now you're in self defenseville, right? You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. I mean, that's the reality to it. You are dangerous. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Bach. Go
I
ahead.
think, right. I'm gonna put into context what Jose was saying here, right?
Okay.
I think just as there's a distinction between rank and title,
Hmm.
right? What he was talking about was the things that exemplify that certain titles exemplify you to be, right? And the respect and the reason why we give respect to certain titles and ranks because you know you've been through the fire and I'm giving you respect because for me to receive respect from you I have to already give you a great deal of respect because if I'm a total d-bag and I have a pet peeve about a-hole versus d-bag. I think when people say a-holes they're really thinking about d-bags. That's a whole other show.
Mm.
But I feel
That's a good
that
topic, though.
because I'm a self-professed a-hole. I'm a wonderful human being. So it gets
Says you,
confusing there.
sir. Says you.
You know, you are correct, right? There are plenty of qualified, knowledgeable martial artists who have great understanding of what they're doing, who are not good people, who will go in and clear out a bar just because they know the history, they know all the moves, they can tell you why it works.
Hmm.
right? And that's what you're speaking about, right? So it doesn't matter what they can fight and they know what they're doing.
Well, no, I'm talking about all of it though. So, like in the realm of combatives, you being a good person, even at a higher rank, you even if you don't respect the individual, you respect the individual's ability to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Or
Right,
else you wouldn't perceive him as a threat, right? And
right.
there's a certain respect that comes with that. Like, look, in the realm of combatives, even if I'm going closer to the honorary ranks, which are fifth, sixth, and I mean seventh, eighth, and sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth, right? It depends in the context in which you're looking at things. That's the lens. That's a personal thing, right?
Right,
Or that's a
right.
preference. I mean, we would like to think that you want to be a good person, that you want to do good works and all this other good stuff, but no. I mean, again, because we're talking about listen, there are people that I've dealt with in my life, that I've trained with in my life, that their kids can't stand them. They're complete. I'm going to say it flat out, assholes in real life,
Mhm.
and no one likes them. But their fighting ability, their ability to understand the information and stuff like
Phenomenal.
that. Yeah, yes, it doesn't matter that person's a philanderer or any of that kind of stuff. You're not looking at that because that's not the prism and list. Now, in my particular case, as I got older, I started realizing that I'd rather be devoid of that knowledge that you have than associate or put myself in the position where I'm dealing. And I still got some of those folks that I still deal with that
Mhm.
that and even then I try to rationalize it and I just say, well, that's them. That's their thing and stuff like that. And because I'm one of those folks that who am I to judge?
So,
On that one, it's kind of like that's an open morality question.
so jumping in, the comparison I would like to give is the difference between the law and justice.
Mm.
It's a
Hmm.
great parallel here because most people
Ooh,
just
I like
like
that. I like that. Yeah, yeah, brother.
just
Go ahead. Dip
just
in.
just like rank and title,
Mm.
most people when they think about law, what they're really thinking about is justice.
Mm.
But if you understand the law is just so that we have some rules to govern ourselves by, so there's not total anarchy. And the law has zero to do with justice.
Yes.
We like to think that it should. And so, getting back to the conversation about rank and title and how one should carry themselves, right? We would like to believe that it should be this way, and this is what we should all strive to be, and this is what we should be passing on to the next generation,
Mm.
and that is what we should be doing. We should be karate, right?
Mm.
Should be, but you're striving to perfect oneself, character,
Yeah, yeah.
you
But
know.
I think we look at that more in a civilized society, but we always forget the lens in which. Here's
Yeah,
the thing, where a lot of us got our martial knowledge from, they were always at a de facto state of war. I mean, like we have to look at the American condition, right? What it is to be an African American. And I know somebody somewhere's going, "Oh, brother, you circling it back to race." But case in point, in our current election cycle, not going there with the politics too much,
yeah.
race is definitely on the ballot this time around, right?
Well,
It's the
well,
one. It's the
race is
one.
a construct, but I'm not going to go deep
But
into
yeah,
that
but
right
yeah, yeah. I hear what you're saying. I hear you. But
now.
it's a construct it came predicated from who and from where. Come on, think
Yes,
about it.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so keep that in mind without going too far because I'm trying not to. See the
Right, right,
blood
right.
coming out the sides of my mouth right now.
And I'm trying to pull you back.
Yeah, I know. I'm just gonna make this point and leave it alone because you
Okay,
know me when I
okay,
get going.
okay.
I'm like, where the hell's my soapbox? No, but I lost my train of thought just thinking about
so,
the
so,
soapbox.
so let me jump right in there for a second, right? So here's the thing, right? Um, I guess what it boils down to is the why, right? Not the end result. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is, um, let's say Martial Warrior A
Mm,
went through, and I'm gonna say it, left a lot of people lifeless at the end of what they had to do,
mm,
right? Um, but why did they do it? How much graces? I like to tell people, I give people the graces and the blessings. You bump into me or spill something on me, I'm like, hey, that was my fault. Let me get you a drink. It's like, you're perpetually married to everybody you meet. No, that's my fault. Whether it is, I'm sorry. Whether it's your fault or not, because that's my form and that's my art of self protection. I'll eat that. I'll buy you whatever the drink is. I'm going to let it slide. Now, if you still persist, I'm gonna take it away from me, going back to person A. martial warrior A.
Mm,
Maybe they gave the graces and the blessings and let stuff slide, and that person still wanted to come for them. And now what you have to do what you have to do. Guess what? Once you turn that on, you could be a savage and run through several people, leave everybody for dead, and sleep really good at night because you gave the graces and the blessings. You didn't want to do that, right? But you're not opposed to having to do it, but you try to give someone an out. Versus Martial Warrior B, I need to test out what I just learned.
mm.
Or it's been a while. I need to keep my fangs sharpened. Let me go through and cause a problem so I can just, I don't like the way they looked at me. Let me go. And now you just, basically like a damn serial killer practically.
Well, that's so I was
Same
gonna.
result, but what was the why and how was the approach and what was the thought process?
Okay, so before I lost my train of thought, this is what I was about to get into. A
Okay.
lot of us that got trained in the African American community, you got to remember at the times of our forefathers, when the folks that came before us were training martial art, it was for survival. And
Survival.
it's still very much taught that way. Think about the things that go on when I say the accepted students, because there are layers. There are layers to this, right? Some
Yeah.
of us live in sports, but we train like my personal stuff is on the off chance that
Mhm.
I have to use it. You know what I'm saying? Got to keep that fang sharp. Got to keep my sword. Boom, good and oiled and ready to go.
Yeah.
Right? Why
Yeah.
why why am I learning? There are things that we do now that are geared around because we're always at a de facto state. I'm gonna say in our communities, right? We're always at that like the quote, the horribly quote Trump, pun intended, stand down and stand by kind of moment, right. Oh, there's somebody cringing right now when I said that way, but there's a truth to that. So when we're going, think about when you walk into a lot of our urban dojos, how
Yeah.
we're training,
Yeah.
why we're training that way. Why would we ever want to train that way? Just because I might get tested,
Yeah.
right? How
It
many times
happens.
have we said
This is
that?
what you walk
I'm
out.
training in a park. Somebody comes up and they want to test me. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And stuff. Because we're always training for the de facto state of war. I mean, excuse me.
Yeah.
We're always at a de facto state of war, and that's the mindset in which we train. Which
Yeah.
again, that moral compass is great to have if you're living in an area where no one's going to test you. You living in the suburbs. You might have law enforcement roll up on you, but for the most part, you living in the suburbs, right? You
Right.
you doing
Right.
it, you doing it right. Your kids going to the right school, doing these things, and all of that, the stuff that we grew up with, the madness. You know what I'm saying, of what it is to live in the hood. What I call hood, and that's white, black. Everybody lives in the goddamn hood. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I hate
Yeah.
when I don't like trying to. I don't want to have folks that are listening thinking, well, I'm just talking about black hoods because there's plenty of white hoods too, and there's
Absolutely.
kind of there's what I like to say. New York was multicultural, and a lot of
Yeah.
well, the way I grew up anyway. We go to
Yeah.
Coney. I had white friends in Coney. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying, and stuff like that. And my family that currently still lives in Bed-Stuy and Bushwick. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They had white friends too. There was a lot of things going on. You know what I mean,
Right.
and
Right.
stuff like that. So we can't say it's exclusively African American. What I
No,
will
not at all.
tell you with this is the hood is the hood, no matter where you are, right? And I'm quite sure my brothers in Southie right now tell you the same thing. And when I say my brothers, I'm
Yeah.
talking about my white friends in Southie, way back in the day.
Yeah.
And they'd have the same mindset so if you're learning from that prism, right, or
Yeah.
that foundation, then that sense of like I
Morale.
should be, yeah, that sense of morality doesn't really
Mhm.
come into play because this is really more about survival. So and you pass that on. It's like your church, right? Think about
Yeah.
think about how dojos run typically in the urban environment. They're
Yeah.
reverently. Or, almost I always used to say this as a joke back in the day, but there was a lot of truth to it. The first gang I ever belonged to was a martial arts school.
Yeah.
Period. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it was
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
blood in, blood out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. The only thing I want to say I have a disagreement about is there's still morality in the urban because that's I teach in the urban environment in Brooklyn, New York,
Hmm.
and we train because we know even locking up the dojo when we leave, we could be tested. We right there,
There you
right?
go.
Um, and but I still teach that sense, and that's what I mean when I give the blessings. Just because I'm giving you the blessings, don't mean I'm not ready.
As
And
Brock
if,
said,
and
respect my benevolence.
yes, it put perfectly, right? And if it's that switch has to flip, like I said, I'm sleeping good at night.
Yeah,
Ain't no problem. Ain't no thing.
that's the goal. At a higher level, I should be more about. tending the flock, I guess, kind of being a better, showing a better person, a better version, right? Based that I would say to you, this might be based upon my perceptions of society, right? In the way we're deemed in society. So a part of me might want to, depending on where I live, my environment, want to give those graces and then say like, look, we should strive to be better people, da da da, and all this other stuff. Where I can be in another environment and I'm like, yo, y'all stay woke. You know what I'm saying? And we know what we mean when we say that. I don't know what they mean when other people be saying it, but you know what I mean when I'm saying it.
Yeah,
Stay woke,
yeah,
be there,
yeah.
be in the moment, be ready to go. You know
Be
what I'm
ready to
saying?
go. Yeah.
And
Well, first, if you
and as
got
I'm
to.
raising my kids and they're raising theirs, we're giving them the talk. We're sitting them down. Think about that. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? We're doing all these things in our dojo, and that's
yeah.
still me contributing to my community. You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? There's
Absolutely.
a saying, it's, yo, never again. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And believe it. I believe it wholeheartedly.
yeah, yeah.
Now, I strive to be a better person, but I always keep the one eye open. You know what I mean?
And be
And stuff
ready to
like that.
go.
And be ready to go. We
Yeah,
want a better, don't get me wrong, and for those listening who might get in their feelings about what I'm saying, is we want the better world. We want to not have to do that. I want to be able to teach everybody. Why do you teach judo? I'll tell you right now. Why? Because of the maxims in judo.
mm,
Maximum efficiency, minimum strength and effort. But
mm,
the ones that are important is mutual benefit and well-being,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then good conduct and character. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? Those are the other two maxims, right? Those are the things that I really would love to put forth and put forth all the time. Well, this is one of the things I was looking at the other day. Was I get a lot of folks that reach out to us and they get a lot of different things and then watch what people are doing out there in the martial universe. I try to keep myself as plugged in as humanly possible, and there are a lot of folks learning how to use firearms. There are a lot
mm,
of folks learning how to utilize military stratagems and tactics
mm.
in an urban environment. Now I started asking myself why. Why would people want to learn these things now?
Right.
Right. So what are they preparing for now? Think about it.
You raise a very good point, and I would say to that, um, martial arts is more than just kicking and striking and
Mm.
biting,
Yeah, I agree with you. Punch kick
right?
karate is a more of a
Yeah, like, so when you break down, the martial way is a military way. Yeah, to preserve peace, you got to be ready for war,
yes,
point blank.
hitting the
And
nail on
but
the head right there, sir.
you don't want to be like a barbarian where you're just going through and raiding and hoarding and whatever. There should be some type of warrior code.
Well, there is. There
Yes,
always has been, and stuff
yes.
like that. Now,
And
not all warriors see the code the same way. Hence the Vikings.
this is true. This is true, right? And I guess as instructors, right, we're trying to pass down that DNA that's been passed on to us, and however it evolved in us, whatever that evolution was, we're passing that virgin down to the next generation so that we give some type of credence, some guidance, because we have come before. We
Mm.
know what potentially they're gonna have to face, and we want them to be ready. But we also, you got to think about the spirit, not just the body, right? The spirit fortifies the mind. The mind will tell the body what it can and cannot do, right?
Mm.
There has to be some type of credence there, um, so that it's not just okay. This guy took my parking spot. I'm gonna set his car on fire.
Oh yeah,
It's
that's
a martial way.
ridiculous. Yeah,
That's
no.
not
That's not, but that's not the
that's a
martial way,
lunatic.
though.
That's
Yeah,
not
that's well, that's
right.
what I'm saying. That's your spirituality. You can still be very spiritual and be
Yeah,
ready for war. I could be ready to kill a man and still be
absolutely,
very spiritual and stuff
absolutely.
like
If
that. I still go to church. I'll still do my thing. I'll still go to temple. I'll still go to the moished. I'll still do all those things.
yeah,
And you know what I'm saying. But be ready to handle my business if I
I
need
would
to.
say those who are really truly ready for war will be rooted deeper in the spirituality because you need that balance, number
Oh
one.
yeah, because you'll go
Right?
crazy without it.
Yeah, you can't just, someone asked me an interesting question um on that St. Croix trip, actually. They were like,
Mhm.
I noticed most martial artists do some type of artistic thing, right? They may play music, write poetry,
Mhm.
do some type of art or whatever. And I say yes, because you do need balance, right? And those things you can't be at um what is it, Deccan?
DEFCON 5 or
DEFCON
yeah,
5
yeah, yeah.
at all times, right? You'll burn out. That's like running an engine on high without giving it a break. You have to rebalance your energy and your spirit
Mm,
so that you can actually move and live in society, right? And that's the thing. So when we kind of are devoid of ego, that's when we could be our best selves. Which
yes.
leads back to bringing it back to like what Jose Burgos was saying. You see some guys that the ego of their rank and their title for whatever reason has them acting kind of out of side pocket,
Well,
thumbs
yeah,
in the
but yeah,
belt.
listen, yeah, you got to stay on top. Listen, my thought process with that is, it's kind of like that Afro samurai, right? You
Hmm.
gotta, yeah, look, if you're gonna act a fool, like if you're gonna walk around like that, at some point somebody's gonna test you. You
Yeah,
gotta be ready. Like, and if you're not, if you
yeah,
can't,
yeah,
that's all she
yeah.
wrote. I mean, you're
I can,
banking on no one's going to do that, right? I mean, that's what some of those folks do. They bank on the fact that no one's going to test them. And again, you look, man, there are guys out there. Don't get me wrong, that are conflating their rank, that are incredible fighters. So
yeah,
that you got to kind of gauge that one too. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I was
yeah.
thinking of one example where the guy was he clearly was embellishing his rank, but
Mm.
when he was called to task. Well, he handled his rather quick, and then folks were saying, "Well, no, well then clearly," and no, the argument was still, "Well, no, he's an amazing fighter. He could handle his business,
Yeah,
but he lacked all the knowledge
you're
that
right.
comes with it to make it to that next step." Like,
Right.
look, there are plenty. Look, I always say this before. Kimbo Slice was an amazing fighter, right? He could fight, but
Yeah.
wouldn't give him a fifth degree black belt, right? Would you?
Um,
You know why? Why wouldn't you? Well, because he's just an amazing fighter. He doesn't know what he needs to know, da, 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 da. And you give all these other reasons, right? And it
yeah.
depends on the prism in which you want to look at that in. But yeah, you definitely wouldn't give him a black belt in Shotokan karate
Yeah.
because he never studied Shotokan karate.
Yeah.
But he was still an amazing fighter. God rest his soul. You know what I'm saying? Um,
And I always say you have to command respect. You don't demand it, right? And when we look at, and I think something gets lost in translation, when you look at how other cultures, and to give an example, I'm going to say Asian cultures, because if you're
mm,
doing an Asian martial art, like Japanese, Chinese martial art, or whatever, Filipino, Indonesian, Indian, whatever martial art, you look at culturally how their elders are revered and treated and respected, right? And you said earlier, yeah, when you're basically older, right? And
mhm.
it's all about what fruit did you bear? And now you get this rank and or title because you're not 20, you're like 80, 70, whatever it is, right? You put a lot into everyone. And as your children, they should revere you as an honored elder and take care of you, right?
Mm.
And so what happens is getting lost in translation, maybe those in the US, some, I'm not saying all, say, oh, well, this person has this title and this rank and this such and such, and look how they're treated. Treat me that way. You don't demand respect, you command it. And how do you command it? And if you notice,
Well,
those with high status typically are the most respectful. Typically, not always,
mm,
right? And this is why we're having this discussion, right? And let's take it to the business world. The president and the CEO of a multi-million dollar whatever
mm,
conglomerate
yes.
is going to be real nice to you, super nice, because they got nothing to prove, right? If the hammer needs to be lowered, they're not going to be the ones
Well,
to do it.
but that's what I'm saying. I guess even with that, I know my friend Lydia would probably get in her feelings. Well, she probably will because she listens to the show. But her and I had this debate once, and I guess we're both kind of right. Depends on which way you want to look at it. You have to like somebody in order to respect them. Period. And if I never liked you, then I
Mm,
never respect you. Don't
mm,
need to respect you if I never liked you. You know
right,
what I'm saying, and stuff like
right,
that. And I circle that back to the African American experience, just in general, the way, my grandfather was treated coming up, even after serving his country and stuff
right,
like that, and then again, it was, that's so you give respect, you command respect, but, he grew up in a time where, even serving his country, he came back and there was no respect.
right.
And even in my mother's time, it was still kind of that way. And I've run across people. I will say this. I'm not saying that when I moved down to where I live now, I've gotten bitter in some kind of way. It's just there's
Mm,
a lot going on, and I watch,
yeah.
and I listen, and I see a lot of things now that kind of have. I know there's some folks that would listening to this and watching this, going, "Wow, he's kind of a little off today." When he, and stuff like that, and there are some, I feel like you carry things with you
Yeah.
when you're experiencing them in real time. Like I said before, without getting too political, it's, race is definitely on the ballot this time around, and it is, and there are a lot of us, especially where I live, that feeling that bite.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying, and stuff like
mm,
that, and looking at folks the way they're acting in the martial universe and stuff like that. And it's not a kumbaya moment, unfortunately. It really isn't. It's as much as I want it to be a kumbaya moment, it's not. So,
right.
and again, why are you training? Why are you training that way now? You know what I'm saying? Stuff is my question for a lot of folks. That might be a topic of discussion next podcast or so.
Right.
But in reference to what Jose was saying, like I agree with, so we can be clear because we have to wrap up. But I agree with his point of view. I do.
Yeah.
There's a
Absolutely.
part of me that wholeheartedly wants to agree that, but I have to argue the other side of that. You know what I'm saying? Where does it matter? And I will only say this to anyone, including you, Blackhawk. It depends on your perspective of martial arts or what they're supposed to
Okay.
and stuff like that. So that's what I personally believe. It depends on your perspective. I don't know what Canon would say about that, or what the majority in the martial arts universe would say about
Right.
that, because that the verdict's still out there. And maybe we'll get some comments on that.
You know what, real quick? One of the things that he said that really kind of like hit home for me was like I treat everybody the same way with utmost respect. Until you show me that I should not.
I agree with
Yeah.
that. Yes, I agree.
And whether you're a white belt, a black belt, an honorific title or not, I, you know,
Oh, that's
I'm
gonna
a
that's
hug.
gonna
I'm gonna
eat
give a
away at
big
you.
hug. I'm gonna say hi, and but it's weird when I've seen people treat me differently based on the answers they get from me when I get someplace and they start to go through, oh yeah, because I don't typically wear my belt,
Mm,
unless I need to keep, depending on the type of gi that I'm wearing, I need to keep the gi top closed.
okay.
If I
You
don't need that, I'm
let
not
that
wearing
belly
a
come
belt.
out. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not. So, you're a black belt? Or how do I address you? You know, Blackhawk.
Yeah, I'm the same
Oh,
way. It's Izzy in the
okay,
real
yeah.
world. It's always Izzy.
You can say Hawk. You can say, for those who don't know, my first name is Keith. You can say Keith. I answer all three.
Yeah. It's weird down here because they call me Israel. They literally say Israel. I like how they say it though. They actually say it right. I can't do it with the southern
Okay,
accent, but go ahead.
okay. And so, you know, I'm working out with a guy the whole time, and he's like, yeah, so you do this, and I'm like, thank you. And then they call me up to present. I get back. He's like, this guy the whole time. I didn't know who I was working out with. I'm like, far be it for me to say, hey, I know something you're showing, because I might learn something, whether you're a white belt or not. You know,
Hmm.
I can learn something. So I'm gonna shut up. I don't know nothing. Teach me. Go ahead. And some people won't even acknowledge you unless they think you're up. Whatever.
Yeah. Well,
And
because
then
yes,
they
that's
see who
true.
you're talking to and who's talking to you and how that person that they respect is treating you. And then all of a sudden, and I'm like, why we got to do
You,
that?
you know what, silly, and I feel like I'm gonna tap on this and then end on that cliffhanger. Is as of right now,
Hmm.
Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is the only martial system as of right now that, as a black belt, no one questions you how good
True.
you are and
True.
stuff like that. Like no one's really gonna question you, and it's because it takes 10 years to get. I don't know, but in as far as karate is concerned, no one takes you serious until fifth degree.
Mm,
Period. Like
mm.
people listen to you, you say whatever, but what's the first thing people say is, "Well, what rank are you?" And you say, "Well, I'm a sandan." Oh, okay. Well, come back to me when you get a little more. And you're
Yeah.
like, "You
Yeah.
kidding? I
And
just
I
gave you a
intentionally don't put
revolutionary way
stripes
to
on
do
my
something."
belt.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I'm talking now. Well, that's the same thing for myself. I said a lot of times I'll have a conversation with somebody and they'll be like, "No, oh, you're just a sandan in judo," and they'll go to start to dismiss it until somebody goes, "Yeah, but he holds a six in Okinawa martial arts." Wait a minute. Then maybe, and I'm like, well, no, it's not going to
What?
change anything.
No, everything you're saying is still as authentic and true as it was
Nah,
before. So, in that perspective and that outlook is the problem. You treat the janitor of that building the same way as you treat the
listen, don't
president.
ever look. I will tell you right now, you never piss off the janitor. I'm like, the
No,
first time you go use the
no.
number, go make a bowel movement and realize there's no toilet paper, you start respecting that janitor a whole lot
Yeah.
more.
You
Yeah.
treat everybody with respect, period. And I
Mm.
think that's at the crux of what Jose was saying. Like, like what the hell, man? You know?
Well, but again, like I said, this is all about perspective. I agree with him. I agree with his mindset. Like I found nothing in that reel I really disagreed with, except for the equating the Grandmaster honorary title with a rank and stuff like that. That's all, and that's just look, it's old school knowledge that just got somehow twisted and jumbled up that needed to be separated and clarified. I mean,
Yeah.
as I wrap things up right now, that's that's the one thing. If you take away nothing else from this episode besides Sensei Lopez is becoming a little more batshit down in South Carolina. No, I'm kidding. South Carolina is a great state, folks. I'm just there's a lot going on right now with this. I'll be so happy when the election's over, just because there's so much hate. That's all I can tell. That's all I can call it. Hate. It's
Yeah.
hate. You can feel it. It's in everywhere. You can smell it when you go outside. It's crazy. So much hate and divisiveness coming from, and no matter how you want to look at it, whether you want to say it's people being bigots and then people hating the bigots. You know what I mean? Like whatever, however you want to call that.
Right.
And it just, and being, living in the Marshall way, you got to be aware. You got to be aware where you are, your surroundings at all times. And right now, it's just not a good place, man. Not a go missing home, actually, missing home and stuff like that. When I say home, I'm talking about Massachusetts, which come on. There's somebody going, what? You kidding right now? I'm like, but I guess it's the evil you know versus the evil you don't know. You know what I'm saying? On a side note, I did vote for the first time ever early. I've never done that.
Oh, you know what? I actually meant to do that today. I'll do it Monday.
It's normally I wait until and that was a very pleasant experience, a very unique experience for me and stuff like that. Very night and day, and yeah, that's it.
Okay.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thanks for pulling me off that cliff because my mind was going there
absolutely.
again.
Absolutely.
I was so without my partner in crime today, we had a special guest, Blackhawk. He'll be on every now and again and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We have palathers all the time, so and we like to just have them on because it's good people. Definitely if you can hook that up with Jose, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
You'll notice that we ain't saying your last name anymore, brother, because we just don't know if we're saying it correctly and we don't want to butcher it. All right, so this is Will Lopez Sensei of the Marshall Maze, wishing everybody a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.
Blessings.